Good evening and welcome to Montgomery County's United in Service and Support Community webinar that will focus on community food resources for our residents. Thank you for joining us. I'm your moderator, Jordan Lindsay. Now, this is one of many webinars that is part of a series of informational sessions with elected leaders who are united in their efforts to support our residents during these challenging times. Tonight's host is Montgomery County Councilmember Gabe Albornoz. Councilmember Albornoz is joined by Heather Briskin, the Director of the Montgomery County Office of Food System Resilience, the Honorable Craig Rice, the Chief Executive Officer of Manna Foods, Elizabeth Leach, the Director for the Division of Foods and Nutrition Services at MCPS, and Monica Rivera Goldberg, the Program Manager for the Navigation Unit at DHHS's Office of Community Affairs Community Action Agency. We also have Dr. James Bridgers here from DHHS as well. We will hear from them in just a few moments. We also have questions that have come in through our website, and we'll be asking residents to share that using the Q&A function. Now, some of these questions will be answered today, and others will be used to shape our next webinar focused on the resources that residents need most. The Q&A feature on Zoom can be located at the bottom of your Zoom screen and the toolbar. For the panelists, we kindly ask that you mute yourself when it's not your turn to provide remarks. Now, we also have simultaneous interpretation services available from English to Spanish for those who may need it. Participants here on Zoom can hear Spanish interpretation by selecting the interpretation button at the bottom of their Zoom screens. This will be the globe-shaped button located in the toolbar. Then select Interpretation in Spanish. Now I'll go ahead and toss it to my colleague, Marcela Rodriguez, to translate how to access the Spanish channel. Marcela, to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Good evening, everybody. Buenas noches a todos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Durante la sesión informativa contaremos con servicios de interpretación simultánea del inglés al español. Para quienes lo necesiten, los participantes en Zoom deben seleccionar el botón de interpretación en la parte inferior de sus pantallas. Este será el botón en forma de globo ubicado en la barra de herramientas y posteriormente seleccionar la opción de interpretación en español. Muchísimas gracias. Jordan, back to you.
Thank you so much, Marcela. Now I'll go ahead and toss it to Montgomery County Councilmember Gabe Albornoz for remarks. Councilmember Albornoz, to you.
Well, thank you so much, Jordan, and thank you all for joining us this evening. It is truly a privilege and honor, and good evening, good people. So yes, I'm one of your at-large members of the County Council, and I have the honor and distinct pleasure of serving as chair of our county's Health and Human Services Committee. And tonight's topic is very near and dear to my heart. As council president 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to work with colleagues and then Councilmember Craig Rice to establish a blueprint to end childhood hunger here in Montgomery County. Because we knew then, coming out of COVID, that systems that had been tested in ways that none of us could have ever imagined needed to be addressed and needed to be coalesced and needed to be strengthened. We were fortunate to have incredible nonprofit organizations and leaders and a fantastic and world-class Department of Health and Human Services, but we needed something to bring us together in working with government and our community sector. And it was around that time that the Office of Food System Resilience was established, now led so ably by my colleague and friend, Heather Briskin, who you will hear from soon. This issue, as we know, is about to get even more complex. The looming reductions at the federal level could potentially be catastrophic for our community. The good news is we have that same infrastructure which has been strengthened over the last several years. And you'll hear more about that system, but more importantly, the programs and services that are available to our residents. So I want to thank all of you and our Public Information Office, and especially Council President Kate Stewart, who has, through her leadership, established these webinars during her term as council president. And so without further ado, I also want to acknowledge and let you all know that the resource slides that will be posted at the conclusion of the meeting can be found on the council's website. I'd also like to recognize representatives from council member offices who have joined us this evening, including Warren Hansen from the office of Councilmember Andrew Friedson, Saria Gaine from the office of Councilmember Lorianne Sales. As you heard earlier, we are joined and blessed to have Dr. James Bridgers, our Director of Health and Human Services, here joining us this evening as well. And I just want to say one last time, although these are dark times and it's difficult for us to find hope, I hope that you leave this session here tonight with more hope. because we do have incredible resources and programs and services and literally thousands of people, volunteers and staff, and some of the most dedicated professionals I have ever met in my entire life who have made it their business and their career to ensure that we address food insecurity here in Montgomery County. Together, we will weather this storm. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker this evening, and that, again, is my colleague and friend, Heather Bruskin, the Director of the Montgomery County Office of Food System Resilience. Welcome, Heather.
Good evening, and tremendous thanks to you, Councilmember Alvernoth, and the incredible council team for the opportunity to be a part of this evening's session. As shared already, I'm Heather Bruskin, and I have the honor of leading the dedicated staff of the county government's Office of Food Systems Resilience. The OFSR was created through legislation in 2022, building on the lessons learned from the pandemic, recognizing that in order to support the hundreds of thousands of residents in our county who actively experience or live at risk of hunger, we need to dedicate resources to develop and implement specific strategies, investments, and policies to build a better local food system that both nourishes our neighbors today and strengthens our community for future crises. Next slide. In Montgomery County, our high cost of living means that many residents earn too much to receive most typical federal nutrition benefits, but they still can't afford to make ends meet. For a family of 4 in our county, it's estimated that basic needs like food, housing, childcare, and healthcare requires a household income of over $110,000 per year. More than 30% of our residents have household incomes below that level, and that's illustrated by the color-filled circle here. Of those families, only a third of them are eligible for SNAP, so the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which was formerly known as food stamps, and only half of these families are eligible for free and reduced rate meals. That means more than 150,000 people in our county fall within the self-sufficiency gap, and that's shaded here in green. So these are residents who likely need assistance, but don't qualify for federally and state-funded programs. Next slide, please. Our county government stands out nationally for our commitment to addressing this issue, and the OFSR has an annual budget of over $14 million, supporting a wide range of programs that increase access to nutritious, locally produced, and culturally preferred foods. In order to do this, we've developed a strategic approach that centers a few key priorities. Food is sourced and distributed through a wide range of partners in order to avoid the impacts of supply chain disruptions and cost fluctuations, and to ensure that we're offering foods that align with the needs of the most diverse population in our country. We center approaches that offer recipients as much choice and flexibility as possible, from the types of products that are available to where, when, and how they're accessing food. And we seek strategies that complement investments that are made by other sources and provide services at existing locations where residents are already going, like schools and healthcare sites. Next slide, please. So here's a brief overview of the different programs that are funded through the OFSR's budget. Through grants and contracts, we support over 70 organizations that are led by community experts who provide food assistance in trusted, welcoming spaces that are language accessible and conveniently located around the county. In FY25, we partnered with 60 schools that are within the MCPS system to provide food assistance services to school families. We anticipate that number will grow to 80 schools next year. We also just announced grant partnerships with Adventist Healthcare, Holy Cross Health, school-based health centers, and others to reduce rates of diet-related disease among pediatric patients. We also fund 6 nonprofits that provide hands-on assistance to connect families with a variety of programs, including SNAP, WIC, Summer Sunbucks, and, if they're not eligible for federal assistance, to the MC Groceries program as available enrollment spots allow. These program partnerships have built a network of talented, dedicated people and organizations who are here to support our community, whether those families have experienced food insecurity in the past or if they're seeking assistance for the first time. We know that this is a challenging time for many, and we're eager to do what we can to support our neighbors. Next slide, please. To learn more about these programs and determine which types of assistance may be a good fit for your family, you can call 311. You can reach out to the navigation team, who you'll hear from soon on this webinar, or you can use this new flowchart that is shown here that was created by our team. Next slide, please. We also offer a calendar of food distributions on the OFSR's website, and the Montgomery County Food Council hosts on their website an interactive searchable map of food assistance provider organizations that are located near you. You can also find information on all of our grant partners on our website if you'd like to learn more or connect with some of the resources that I just highlighted. Next slide. Finally, it's important to note that while the county government needs to collect data from grantees on how funds are being used, and you can see some of those example data points here, we don't collect data from external organizations on who is being served. Providers may need to ask for basic information to ensure that families are accessing the resources that they need in efficient and tailored ways, but that won't be reported to the county in their grant reports. We do collect feedback from both community organizations and program participants directly so that we can ensure that services are meeting needs and as effective as possible. We're also launching this summer a new opportunity for residents to stay connected with us directly so that they can receive updates on new resources and other opportunities to inform the work of our government. Next slide, please. We have a dedicated team who you can see some snapshots of here, and we look forward to answering the questions tonight and overall continuing our collaborative efforts that support the community. You can visit our website at www.montgomerycountymd.gov/OFSR. And thank you again for the opportunity to be a part of tonight's important conversation.
Thank you, Heather. That was incredibly informative, and I know a short amount of time. I just want to acknowledge that the work that Heather and her team are doing have been recognized nationally as a model that needs to be replicated in other jurisdictions across the country, and she is regularly asked to present to other jurisdictions regarding the great work that they are doing. So we can't thank you enough, Heather, for your leadership, and we know we're going to need it a lot more moving forward. Our next guest is somebody who I've known for many, many years, and I'll start introducing him by making this point. As a retired elected official, you get the title honorable whether you deserve it or not. In this case, it is absolutely could not be more deserved because former Councilmember Craig Rice served for 3 terms on the County Council, also served in our state legislature, and did so with distinction and great honor. He has carried on that work as the new CEO of Manna Foods, one of our most important nonprofit organizations, not just here in Montgomery County, but across the DMV. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce him now. Craig, take it away.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Albornoz, and let me give kudos to you as well for over the decades of service to this county, whether serving in the Leggett administration or doing what you do now. It is clear that you care deeply about the community and making sure that everyone has opportunities to be able to lead successful lives here in Montgomery County. And that is truly what this is about. And that is where we stand. When you look at, and we'll go ahead and hop into the slides, our community food resources, let's talk about the why. As you heard from Heather, and I really want to thank Heather and her great leadership with the Office of Food System Resilience for their partnership and continuing to help to support organizations like Manna to do the great work that we're doing. But the why is that we recently saw, and a recent report that came out from Feeding America, that 128,000 people are estimated to be food insecure right here in Montgomery County right now. And of that, when you add up the average cost of a meal for individuals, it equates to about a $108 million food budget shortfall. Now, I'm not sure, but I remember my time on the council, Councilmember Albornoz. I even remember my time in the state legislature, and I don't recall us having $108 million floating around to make that difference. So how do we make this happen? How do we ensure that we're able to meet the needs of community members who are food insecure and ensure that they're getting what they need to be able to help support their families? Well, it comes through collaboration. And one of the great things, as you highlighted, Councilmember Albornoz, is that we've seen that with the Office of Food System Resilience, as well as our Montgomery County Food Council, who do a tremendous job in providing organizations like MANA, Capital Area Food Banks, So What Else, Rainbow Community, Up County Hub, Kingdom Fellowship, and so many others throughout this community, we are able to try and make a difference when it comes to meeting the needs of family members. In addition, of course, we have government support. And I want to thank you, Councilmember Albornoz, and the entire County Council and the County Executive for continuing to do the great work in stepping up when it comes to our budget and ensuring that we have the funds necessary to try and make sure that we're helping to support those who need assistance. And then, of course, our philanthropic investment. So many folks that may be on this call or may be watching this webinar later, thank you. Thank you for caring. Thank you for giving your time, talent, and treasure to so many organizations that are focused on food insecurity right here in the county. Next slide. So these are the services that we provide. So many are familiar with our standard. The food box distribution. That is typically where either at a distribution site, whether it's in a parking lot, whether it's at a facility, a family is given a box of food, and that typically lasts them somewhere from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, depending on the size of the box and the items that are in it. But what we've started to migrate towards, and where Heather Bruskin and her team have continued to push us as food providers, is to make sure that we're migrating towards a choice market model. Why does this matter? This is so important because what it does is it allows freedom of choice for individuals and allows us to make sure that we're supporting the individual dietary needs that are there for families that respect their religious concerns as well as their cultural concerns, any of the things that are important to them about choosing items that are right for their family. When it comes to our school-based programs, we've tried to do the same. We have our standard backpacks, but we've actually started to open up food pantries to learn a little bit more about how we can best serve our families in our school system. And of course, we can't forget about our SNAP outreach and advocacy, which you heard from Councilmember Albornoz before. We remain committed to making sure that as long as SNAP is continuing to be a program that continues to help to assist families, we are going to try and do everything we can to sign as many people up and avail them of the services that they are rightfully embedded. And that is incredibly important. And we will continue to advocate for policies that continue to help support those in getting those SNAP benefits. Next slide. Some of the other ways in which we've been creative, and this is again working with the county, is community food rescue. We have great grocery store partners. Wegmans in Rockville just opened up yesterday, and I was there talking with management about ways in which we can continue to partner together to make sure that no food goes wasted. Those items that are there that are at grocery stores can then be rescued by organizations throughout this county and then distributed to families in need. And then when it comes to farm to food banks, something that the county has had a history of supporting farmers and our agricultural reserve, ensuring that those farmers are able to grow crops, not only to help support their farm and their farm mission, but also to help support the community as well. Something that is ingrained in who farmers are. Next slide. So I want to close with something that I hope Councilmember Albornoz gives you promise and gives everyone on the call promise. This was actually a sign that was captured outside of a grocery store from a young person, and it says, "I will buy my Squishmallow and give the rest to Manna." They were doing a bake sale outside of a grocery store, and they were trying to raise enough money from the bake sale to buy themselves a stuffed animal. Many of us who have children or young children know about Squishmallows, and so this is a very big deal to this young child. But in addition, they realized that it was more than just about them. They realized that they needed to do something to help their community as well. And I would say to you, Councilmember Albornoz, that we are in a good space right now if we have children that understand the importance of giving back and making sure that we support organizations that continue to lift up those who need the help the most. Thank you, guys. I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much, Craig. That was awesome. I love that. Our next speaker is representing an organization who is, without question, if not the one of the most important organizations that helps distribute food to our county residents, and that is our partners in Montgomery County Public Schools. A lot of people don't know this, but there are, and this actually was true 8 years ago, and the numbers have grown even larger since then, but there are more children on the free and reduced meal plan in our school system than there are children in the entire system of the District of Columbia Public Schools. And that was true 8 years ago, and the numbers have only grown since then. So without further ado, I want to introduce Elizabeth Leach, the Director of Division of Food and Nutrition Services at Montgomery County Public Schools.
Thank you, Council Member, and thank you for having me today. I am very excited to share about MCPS and the Division of Food and Nutrition Services and how we provide meals and nutrition support throughout the county. Hopefully folks are familiar a little bit with us, but I'm going to dive hopefully deeper and allow you to learn a little more. So next slide, please. You can see some pictures here, and I'm glad to share because you may hear about the kitchens and cafeterias in Montgomery County Public School, but I wanted to show you what some of them look like. We have 211 schools distributed throughout the county. We are actually the 4th largest restaurant in Montgomery County, if you think about it that way. And our restaurants are located conveniently in neighborhoods where people live. Where people can walk to. And so we're honored and thrilled to our team of over 900 DFNS team members is so dedicated to serving meals to students every day. Across the year, we serve over 18 million meals. And I know that's really hard to picture in numbers, like what does that look like? And so I like to break it down. We serve about 100,000 meals every school day. And that's still really hard to look at. So I think about if anyone has ever been to one of the stadiums that are in the region, if you think about Nationals Park, you'd have to go to a doubleheader and fill Nats Park twice and feed everyone there. And that's how many meals we serve to students in Montgomery County every school day. And we do it very proudly. So that's an overarching view of what we do. And then I'll break it down a little bit further to our services throughout the year. Next slide, please. Right now, we have just started summer. I think everyone knows that with how hot it is. And you may not know that we provide summer meals all throughout the summer. Our nutrition services don't stop. So we provide free breakfast and lunch available at over 120 sites throughout the county. And what isn't shown here but should be is that anyone 18 and under can go to any one of these sites and get a free breakfast and lunch. A student doesn't have to be enrolled in the school. They don't even have to go to an MCPS school. Anyone 18 and under can go to these sites and get a free breakfast and lunch throughout the summer. And some of the sites are located at schools. Some of them are located at community-based centers, at rec centers, at other places where community members are throughout the summer. So I see that QR code there. Please scan it. There's a detailed list of each site, each location, the days of the week they're open, and the meal service times. And we keep that list updated daily, very regularly. So meals are available now. They'll be available tomorrow. And please engage in our meal programs throughout the summer. Next slide, please. Now, during the school year, which we just ended one and we're already ramping up for another, we serve breakfast, lunch, and after school snack and supper. Breakfast and lunch are served at every MCPS school, and snack and supper at those schools that request it. And you'll see a standard kind of elementary school lunch service here, students going through the line, and then also one of our more innovative breakfast models on the right. So we know that sometimes students get to school with extra time, right? They're rushing in the morning. So we meet them where they are. We meet them at the front of the building. This is one of our breakfast kiosks. So students don't have to go all the way to the cafeteria, but they can grab and go an entire breakfast meal and eat it in the classroom while they're starting their day. That's very important to us. Next slide, please. So now we've talked about our meals. It's also important to make sure that students have access to free meals. And we do this in a multi-layered approach, utilizing every state and federal program that is available to us. So first, we utilize our Maryland state level program, which allows us to provide free breakfast in 117 MCPS schools. And then we utilize a federal program called the Community Eligibility Provision to make sure that lunch is free for all in 60 schools. Above and beyond that, if students don't go to one of these schools, there are still ways to make sure that if they're eligible for free meals, they get those benefits. So if families are enrolled in other programs such as SNAP, TANF, Medicaid, foster, migrant, homeless, runaway, there's nothing the family has to do. They will automatically be enrolled in a free meal program. Which is wonderful. There's no extra paperwork. There's no extra application. They will automatically be enrolled. Our last layer of approach to make sure students get access to free meals is a free and reduced price meal application. One thing that's very important to remember is that this application has to be completed annually starting in July every year. So in July, we're going to have our big communication out to school communities to make sure that folks that have this application renew it before the start of the school year every year. It is an annually required application. It is available online in 8 different languages. It is also available in every school front office in English and in Spanish. And we have teams of folks that are available to help families fill out the application when needed. Next slide, please. So now we know about how to access meals during the school year and during the summer. But I also wanted to touch on something that's really important to us, which is the quality of meals that we provide and the nutrition of the meals we provide. So you can see here some of our students during a focus group this year where they are tasting and testing and giving feedback to the food that the recipes that we are developing. All of our meals and our recipes are student tasted and tested and approved. And that's a continuous process. Every year we're looking at what's really, still, what are students still enjoying and what maybe are they growing out of, and we need to revamp a little bit. So that's a process we are engaging in at all times. And then the nutrition that our meals provide, it's at a baseline. We're obviously meeting all federal and state level nutrition requirements, which means that, we're serving whole grain foods, we're serving low sodium foods in addition to a host of other things. But we also have some standards that no one's requiring of us, but we think are very important. And so in all MCPS meals that are served, you will find no artificial colors or dyes. There's no artificial sweeteners such as aspartame or MSG and some other things as well. So we continuously improve the quality and nutrition of meals that were provided. I'm very proud to share one of our newest menu items that was debuted in April of this school year and has quickly become one of our most popular dishes. It's our bean and cheese pupusa with roasted plantains and a house-made curtido there on the left. So it is rivaling pizza in schools, which if you've ever been to a school cafeteria says a lot. So thank you for allowing me to share what we offer in MCPS, and I'm happy to stay on to hear some interesting questions later in the presentation.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Full disclosure, I have tried the bean and cheese pupusa, and it is fantastic. So it is one of my son's favorites. And so just congratulations to you guys for your leadership. It truly is extraordinary. Our final speaker before turning it over to question and answer is Monica Rivera Goldberg, the program manager of the navigation unit at the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Community Affairs, Montgomery County Community Action Agency. And I will just say the Community Action Agency is an unsung hero here in Montgomery County. They have done an extraordinary job now for literally generations in helping to organize our community and to build bridges and make important connections. So without further ado, Monica, take it over.
Thank you so much for having me, Councilmember Albornoz. I'm so excited to be here and discuss a little bit about Community Action Agency and the Department of Health and Human Services. My name is Monica Goldberg, and again, I'm the program manager for our navigation unit, and I also oversee our walk-in center, Test Community Action Center, that has been standing strong for over 53 years in the Silver Spring, Piney Branch area. Next slide, please. So as mentioned before, I truly also believe that Community Action Agency is an unsung hero and a gem within the Department of Health and Human Services. We are the designated anti-poverty administration within Montgomery County and a part of the national network of community action agencies throughout the United States. Our mission here in Montgomery County is to advance social and economic mobility among communities and neighbors through services, partnerships, and advocacy using an equity lens. Within our household, we are housing many different programs, including VITA, our free tax program, which is currently having their postseason. So if you know anyone that needs to do any tax adjustments, please send them our way. Head Start, Community Advocacy Institute, which is our training institute that helps people connect with community, build community, and become community leaders. We are also contract partners and monitors for the Department of Health and Human Services. We have our wonderful Test Community Action Center that is a staple in the Long Branch area. And then, of course, my pride and joy, the Navigation Unit, which is our mobile team that champions access within the community. Next slide, please. So, our team started in 2021 during the pandemic. I love to say that I was the first coded navigator within Montgomery County, worked my way up to build an incredible team that is currently located throughout the county in 8 different organizations, including MANA. I believe, Craig, that you met Paola in your office, and she was very excited and told me all about it. We're currently at WOMCO in Poolsville, and you can see here with our hotspot map the reach that we have and the places that we're able to go and connect with community, because we truly believe that community and knowledge and access, most importantly, are the foundations of growing and helping each other out of poverty and supporting the community. Our services include hands-on application assistance for all of our federal programs, so SNAP, temporary cash assistance, temporary disability, and also medical assistance for 65 plus or disabled. We also provide referrals for community partners, including our different hubs that we are located at, Up County Hub as well, Clifton Park Baptist Church, and we are also DHHS provided trainings. So today we had a wonderful meeting with JCA, and we were able to provide some community navigation trainings so that their service providers could also build in the knowledge gaps that we see in the community and also be able to access services within the HHS continuum. Next slide, please. Okay. And you can contact us here at our hotline, 240-777-4141. Please reach out to us. I'm also available by email. You can contact me directly with any types of questions that you may have or referral services. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Well, thank you, Monica, and thank you to all of our incredible speakers, and we'll ask them to stay on the line now. Dr. Bridgers, if there's a question related specifically to HHS, please feel free to chime in as well. So thank you all so much for being here. Jordan, I will turn it over to you because you are awesome at this and you do such a fabulous job, and thank you for your leadership. So the Q&A will be facilitated by Jordan.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilmember Albornoz. And members of the virtual media, if you take a look at the chat, there's some very helpful links there in the chat. Just a friendly reminder that we received a lot of questions from residents on similar issues, so we'll be reading some submitted questions that reflect a broad part of the community. Please also note that all questions that have been submitted will be captured and used to help us plan upcoming webinars. Let's move on to those questions and comments from residents. Up first are questions about local food resources for residents in need. Are budget cuts on the federal level impacting local food resources for those in need? If so, how much? And what is being done about it? And feel free to chime in, anyone who has an answer.
So I'll start and just say we don't have an answer yet because we don't actually know what the bill is going to be. Obviously there's a continuing resolution that's being debated literally as we speak on Capitol Hill, and there have been a lot of stories written about it. We don't know what's exactly going to ultimately be in it or frankly when it will pass, although there is a goal set forth by the leadership in the current House and Senate that they'd like to get it passed before the 4th of July. But what we do know is that in any of its forms that we've seen, it will result in drastic reductions to federally funded food nutrition programs. And this is going to have a devastating impact. And we also know that there are going to be significantly changing requirements, policy requirements, which quite frankly, and I can say this, are intended to make it more difficult to access these services and have people give up. We are not going to give up here in Montgomery County, and we do have incredible organizations who are ready to work one-on-one with county residents to help them fill out what we know will be reams of paperwork But I will now yield to colleagues, and we'll start with Heather to talk about some of what we are anticipating and how we're going to address those potential federal cuts here in Montgomery County.
Yeah, thank you for the very important question that is on everyone's minds, and again, for the council members' leadership and compassionate leadership in this important work. So we have seen some immediate cuts that have already occurred in the community, particularly related to federal programs that expanded during the pandemic and had been anticipated to continue into the future, but were ultimately ended this year. And that's in particularly related to sourcing from local farms. So we have Montgomery County farms that were selling product that were then distributed to food assistance organizations in the network. So while our local farm to food bank program that funding is still in place, there were federal funds as well that were supporting our local businesses, and that has been discontinued. There also are programs that have sourced food from national sources through the commodities programs that were distributed through the Capital Area Food Bank and have been ended as well. And so that means that fewer supplies of things like proteins and other higher value items that were being distributed through the network are no longer available. That being said, those are the immediate on-the-ground effects that we have seen, as well as some staffing changes to federal programs that may not be reflected in program cuts, but may have administration challenges for those programs. We are very closely following all of the moment-to-moment changes that are happening and keeping our elected officials informed, as well as our community partners, so that we can be prepared for what may occur, whether it is eligibility changes, or Liz had spoken about some of the programs that if you're in one program, you automatically get enrolled in others. So there may be some changes, but I can assure you that we're thinking very carefully about how we can leverage the resources that we have to reach as many people as possible.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilmember Albanos and Heather. No other comments are there. We can move on to the next question. Can you list and elaborate on local food banks, and are there any upcoming events? And I'm not sure if Heather or Craig would like to answer this, or Monica with DHHS. Feel free to chime in, whomever, with information.
Sure. So just wanted to make sure that folks know that we oftentimes do what are called pop-up pantries, as well as our partners do the same throughout the county. We were just at White Oak this previous weekend in partnership with Kingdom Fellowship and others doing, and where we distributed 300 food boxes to community members there. So those things happen often. I would refer you to the website, as Heather alluded to, that's with OFSR, that gives a calendar of all of the different ones. You know, we each have our own websites, but OFSR does a great job of bringing them all together for folks as a resource. But I would encourage folks to make sure that they're strategizing on how it is that they're working with an organization to help them to stabilize. Because at MANA and with all food centers, we believe it's more than just a meal. And so understanding that there's so much more in working with Community Action Agency and others that really focus on work source supports, making sure that folks have what they need to help to retool if they need to get additional jobs and job support, childcare, whatever the case may be, to help them so that they can become self-sufficient, because we know we can't feed people out of the problem. And so it really is a holistic approach that we're looking at beyond. And so all of those things are listed as well in terms of those types of services that people can avail themselves of to help them to help their situation that they're dealing with.
Great. Thank you, Craig. I don't see any other comments. We can go ahead and move on to the next question, which is centered around food resources for the senior population. Can you elaborate on the senior nutrition program? How can someone access our directory to find the closest center, reserve a lunch spot, or request transportation? Is this the same as the Congregate Meal program? And I'm not sure if somebody from DHHS would like to answer. Monica Rivera Goldberg, perhaps?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Be delighted to. So it is the same thing as the Congregate Meal Program. It's just the difference in how DHHS phrases it, which is the Senior Nutrition Program, and then the people that are running that program, which are service providers such as the senior centers and also our different rec departments. There are currently 11 different locations, although one of them is currently closed, but there is a wonderful directory that you can find online, and I can drop that link into the chat. The wonderful thing about this program is that it isn't just about receiving a meal, it's about receiving community. So when seniors come here to get together, not only are they there for conversation with each other, but they're provided nutritional education. They're provided also sometimes just fun activities such as singers. I personally have gone to the senior social one when we've partnered with the Test Community Action Center in the Silver Spring Rec Department, and it is a wonderful time to make community with our neighbors, prevent isolation, and also just have a really great time and a great meal. There are different meal options from cold meals, hot choices, and also vegetarian. And seniors can sign up and choose which type of meal that they want. They have 3 days to be able to choose their meals in advance, but there are sometimes walk-ins available. So I'll drop all the information below, and you can find the nearest one near you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Monica. Moving on next to a question looks like for MCPS. Can you elaborate on the MCPS Free and Reduced Price Program or FARM? Program and how that relates to the Federal Meal Assistance Program. I know you kind of touched on that, Elizabeth, so I didn't know if you wanted to elaborate on that.
Sure. So the free and reduced price meal program makes sure that anyone meets the income eligibility requirements that are set at a federal level are eligible for free or reduced price meals in MCPS. Now, there's state level legislation, so anyone that might qualify for a reduced price meal actually gets a free meal. So for MCPS, for Montgomery County, if you're eligible for any of them, you would get a free meal. We utilize an online application as well as a paper-based application so that families can apply. It is federally required that the application be filled out annually. And so annually, that means July 1st to June 30th. So it's the school year annually. But we hope to make sure that application is as easy for families to fill out as possible. Again, it's online in 8 different languages. And a lot of our PPWs are parent personnel workers and our community liaisons within our schools are trained on how to help families fill out these applications. So hopefully they are not daunting. They are something that they can get through, and we find that families really do. In addition to getting free meals with these applications, sometimes the meal eligibility also makes them eligible for other community benefits. So just as an example, I think the organization Girls on the Run, if you show that you're eligible for meals, you get a discounted rate for that. So a lot of times the information we provide for families that are eligible for free meals, that makes them eligible for other community benefits as well. So it's really important to have that every year. And I hope I've answered the question. If there's anything else.
That was great. Thank you so much. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. Up next, understanding that the Montgomery County Food Council has working groups led by council members and staff populated by concerned residents with a shared commitment to making a positive impact in our food system. Are there any new initiatives, support policies, or partnerships connected to specific goals? If so, please explain. And can the public join a working group to provide recommendations? I'm not sure if Heather would like to touch on that.
Sure. So the Montgomery County Food Council is a nonprofit organization that does, just as you shared, Jordan, brings together community partners, and we are very lucky in Montgomery County that we have no shortage of neighbors with expertise and passion related to food issues, and so they convene a variety of discussion groups that are open to the public that share information as well as engagement opportunities related to all aspects of our food system. So I can put their website in the chat box, but they have scheduled events there.
That was great. Thank you so much, Heather. We do have a live question here in the Q&A. This person says, how does one know which food assistance providers do not require community members to provide personal information like ID to report to the federal government? So this is a live question. Anybody can answer.
Well, I would just say that the majority of organizations do not. We do not require anything but just that you provide proof of address being here in Montgomery County. That's part of our contract with the county in terms of serving Montgomery County residents. But outside of that, we do not ask immigration status, nor do we report any personal information to the government. And that's pretty much consistent amongst all food providers here in the county.
Yeah, and I'll just note, through an executive order 5 years ago, the council and the county codified what has been a practice for generations now, where we don't ask for immigration status to access county programs and services. Now, it is true that there are some federal programs that are administered through the county that do require us to ask people's immigration status, but programs delivered by the county for county residents do not. Dr. Bridgers, I didn't know if you want to elaborate on that as a standing policy at DHHS and all county agencies, but it'd be great for you to elaborate on that.
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Albornoz. And I just want to say this because I've been actively listening to all of the great panelists this evening. The Honorable Craig Rice has a very nice ring to it. So I just wanted to say that. Good to see you again, my friend. So the Department of Health and Human Services has a standing practice where we don't ask for any immigration status, any identifying information. We work very hard and diligently to, as Councilmember Albornoz said, looking at those federal programs, but looking at what is absolutely needed, be it race and gender, those very basic descriptors that are required for those forms. We don't share the information. We have a very stringent compliance system within the Department of Health and Human Services. We are focused on providing the services to those individuals in the county, as all of the panelists have said this evening, especially Councilmember Albornoz. So it has been a standard practice. If you receive services from the Department of Health and Human Services, if you recall during COVID, we were not looking for any status. We just wanted to know that individuals were receiving it so that we can maintain account, because account reflects the need. And we use that data to demonstrate the need to show their importance and those services. Outside of that, we don't ask for any identifying descriptors.
That was great information. Dr. Bridgers, thank you so much, and thank you all for the answers that you provided. Next question, how can someone donate items, money, or time to the local food assistance efforts, guys, and where to sign up? Where can people sign up? And anybody is free to answer that.
I see that shared in the chat was a link to the Food Council's website, which showcases all the different food assistance provider organizations in the county. And so I always encourage people to use that map to find organizations near them for everything from making a donation. And I can say the ability of these organizations to use flexible donation dollars to source products and support their operations is always a key part of their model, but also volunteer support is critically important. And so the Volunteer Center also has a very robust list of opportunities to put your hands into the work and contribute. So I know that there are a variety of ways to get involved.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather. Well, guys, that looks like all the time we have for questions this evening. Just a reminder that the next United in Service and Support Community webinar will be hosted by Councilmember Dawn Lukey on Wednesday, July 9th at 7 p.m. And the topic will be Nonprofit Services, Unemployment Benefits, and Constituent Services. Now I'll go ahead and toss it back to Councilmember Albornoz for closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jordan, and thank you again to all of these incredible panelists and everybody who is working in this space across the county and across our region. As you heard, we have a lot of really great programs and services and a strong infrastructure here in Montgomery County. And we will, as I said before, continue to work collaboratively and strategically and thoughtfully to address the growing needs of our community and the radical changes in policy that we are all experiencing at this moment. But we remain united, and I look forward to the continued collaboration, and the county stands ready to continue to support these services through policy, through budget, and through every other way we can. But I do encourage all of you, as a call to action, to volunteer, to get involved. If you're able to contribute and make donations to these incredible nonprofit organizations, you can do that directly through them or through convening organizations such as the Montgomery County Community Foundation. There's lots of different ways that we can all engage and support each other during these difficult and challenging times. And I know we will. We've been here before, and we will weather this storm. Thank you all again for being here this evening. I'm leaving inspired, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday week coming up. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Councilor Albornoz. And members of the virtual audience, please take a look at your screen where you'll see a list of local helpful resources that were covered this evening. I hope you guys to take a look at that. And thanks again for joining us, and you all have a great evening. Thank you so much.
mentoring component. So when you finish the 5-day program, we don't just leave you. We provide you support as you are on this journey, and that mentor will kind of help you continue with the momentum of the program to keep